The grand hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with light. The walls gleamed with rare metals from 100 worlds. Beings from 30 different star systems sat in curved rows. Some had scales, some had fur. Some didn't even have bodies like humans. Commander Alan Carter stood in the center of it all. Sweat ran down his back under his blue uniform. The Earth Fleet badge on his chest felt heavy. Next to him, Lisa Powell held a data pad with white knuckles. Her red hair was pulled back. Tight and worry lines marked her face. "Humans," said Ambassador Zortek, his voice deep and slow. His skin was blue-gray and 4 fingers drummed on the table. His eyes, all 3 of them, blinked in a pattern that showed annoyance. "You come to us with tales of doom again." Carter stood taller. "This is not a tale. This is data." He pointed to the large screen behind him. It showed a dark spot spreading across star maps. "This cosmic storm is real. It has already destroyed the Hiatus system. All life there is gone." A ripple of whispers moved through the room. Some aliens leaned to speak to others. Some made clicking sounds, but none seemed truly worried. "Humans have been part of our council for only 15 years, Zortek continued. "Yet you bring us warnings of disaster every few months." He waved his hand, and the screen changed to show past human reports. Solar flares, asteroid paths, gamma ray bursts, and now this dark energy cloud. "Because we watch for dangers," Carter said, his voice stronger now. "That's how we survived on Earth. We plan ahead." Lisa stepped forward. Her voice was calm but firm. "The readings are clear. This is not like anything we've seen before. Our science ships recorded these energy patterns at the edge of the Orion arm." She tapped her pad and new data flowed onto the big screen. "The storm moves faster than light. It breaks down matter at the atomic level. Nothing survives it." Ambassador Vreen rose from her seat. Light bounced off her crystal-like body in rainbow patterns. The translator box at her side spoke in a musical voice. "Humans worry too much. My people have traveled space for 12,000 years. We have seen strange cosmic events before. They come. They go. The galaxy remains." "With respect," Lisa replied, "your people have not seen this before." "No, one has. The energy pattern is new, it's growing stronger, and it's heading toward populated systems." Carter looked around the room. Most of the alien faces showed doubt. Some seemed bored. A few looked angry that humans would dare to teach them about space dangers. "We need to act now," Carter urged. "We need to evacuate the systems in its path. We need to study it together, find a way to stop it or shield against it." From the highest seat, Ambassador Tolvan looked down. His skin was wrinkled and gray. His species was among the oldest in the galaxy. They had mastered space travel when humans were still living in caves. "Perhaps this is why many call humans the cowards of the galaxy," Tolvan said, his voice cracking with age. "Always running from shadows, always seeing monsters in the dark." He shook his head slowly. "The rest of us face problems when they truly arrive. We do not panic at the first sign of the unknown." Some aliens laughed. Others nodded in agreement. Carter felt heat rise in his face. "It's not cowardice to prepare. It's wisdom." He stepped closer to the council table. "On Earth we learned the hard way. Those who waited to see if the flood would come drowned. Those who prepared survived." The chairperson floated forward. It was a cloud of purple gas inside a floating metal sphere. Lights blinked as it spoke. "The Council appreciates Earth's concern, but we find your evidence incomplete. This may be nothing more than a natural phenomenon that poses no real threat." Lisa pointed to her data again. "The Hiatus system is gone. 4 planets, a sun, 2 billion lives, all gone." "The Hiatus system was remote," said Zortek. "Our own sensors show only a minor stellar event. Perhaps your instruments are mistaken." His third eye closed, a sign of dismissal in his culture. Carter looked at the faces around the room. Most had already turned away, talking among themselves about other matters. The threat from the humans was already forgotten. "We will continue," To monitor the situation, the chairperson said. But no emergency action will be taken at this time. No resources will be assigned. The council has more pressing matters to discuss. As Carter opened his mouth to protest, a guard stepped forward. The message was clear. Their time was up. Outside the grand hall, in a quiet corridor lined with plants from 100 worlds, Carter and Lisa stood by a window. Beyond the glass, the space station orbited a giant gas planet. Ships of all sizes moved like fish in a stream, coming and going from the station. "They won't help us," Lisa said. Her voice was flat with disappointment. Carter watched the ships for a long moment. "They think we're just scared, just making noise because we're new to space." "What do we do now?" Lisa asked. She looked down at her pad, where the dark cloud still moved across star charts, growing larger. Carter's jaw tightened. "We go home. We tell Earth what happened here. And then we do what humans have always done when no one else would help." Carter turned from the window, his eyes hard with determination. "We save ourselves," Lisa nodded slowly. "They called us cowards." "Yes." Carter began walking toward their ship dock. "But when that cloud reaches their worlds, and they're not ready," he stopped and looked back at the council chambers. "They'll wish they had been cowards too." As they walked away, the Great Council continued its meeting, unaware that the clock was ticking. In just 3 months, the cosmic storm would reach its first major system, and only the humans were getting ready. 3 months after the council meeting, Earth was busy. On the moon, in the huge base called Luna Alpha, hundreds of people worked day and night. The noise of machines, voices, and alarms filled the air. In the center of the biggest room sat a massive ship. It was the UES Horizon, the largest ship humans had ever built. Its gray hull stretched almost a mile long. Workers climbed over it like ants on a fallen tree. Captain Diane Miller stood on a high walkway watching it all. Her dark hair was cut short, and her blue uniform was crisp despite the long hours she had worked. In her hand was a tablet showing lists of supplies, people, and tasks. "It's coming together fast," said Kevin Ward as he joined her. He was tall with broad shoulders and a serious face. As her second in command, he shared the weight of their mission. "Is it fast enough?" Diane asked. She looked at her tablet again. "The first group of people is already on board. The second group arrives from Earth in 6 hours." Kevin leaned on the rail. "Hard to believe we're doing this with no help from anyone else." Diane's mouth tightened. They had their chance. Operation Last Light goes on without them. Below, a team pushed a large machine toward the ship. It was a shield generator, new technology that might protect them from the cosmic storm. Scientists had worked around the clock to build it, but no one knew if it would work. "Admiral Reyes wants an update," Kevin said. "The Chinese ships are almost full. The European and African ships are ready to go." Diane nodded. It was amazing how Earth had come together. For once, all countries worked as one. While aliens laughed at them, humans prepared. In another room of the base, Greg Jones sat at a desk. He was Earth's representative to the Galactic Council, a man with gray at his temples and lines around his eyes from years of diplomatic work. On the screen in front of him was the blue-gray face of Ambassador Zortek. "We are not asking for your help anymore," Greg said, keeping his voice calm and professional. "Now we are offering you our help. Our sensors show the storm has sped up. It will reach your home system in less than 2 weeks." Zortek made a sound like a snort. "Still clinging to your doomsday warnings? Our scientists have studied your data and found nothing to worry about. We will not cause panic among our people because of human fear." "Then at least tell your people what we found," Greg urged. "Let them decide for themselves." "That would be wrong," Zortek replied. "The Council agrees on this. Your tendency to panic at shadows is why many questioned letting humans join the galactic community at all." When the call ended, Greg turned to find Diane standing in the doorway. "No change?" she asked. Greg shook his head. "They won't even warn their own people." Diane frowned. "We've sent the data to every free channel we could find. Some will listen. We've offered space on our ships to anyone who wants to come." "It won't be enough," Greg said quietly. It never is, Diane replied. But we do what we can. The first group of ships leaves tomorrow. We've planned a course to the safe worlds on the far edge of space, far enough from the storm's path to give us a chance. Just then, a young worker ran in. His face was pale. Captain, we've detected a huge energy spike. The storm has changed direction. It's moving faster than we thought. Diane's stomach dropped. How long do we have? 4 days, maybe less. She straightened her back. Move up the launch schedule. All ships leave within 24 hours. This is top priority now. As alarms began to sound through the base, Diane looked at the stars through the window. So much for facing problems with dignity, she muttered. Back in the main hangar, the pace of work doubled. Supplies that were supposed to take days to load were now being rushed aboard in hours. People lined up to board ships carrying only what they could fit in one bag. In the control room, Alan Carter, now promoted to admiral, looked at the latest reports from Earth. How many will we save? Lisa Powell asked him. She hadn't slept in 2 days, and it showed on her face. Best case, 200 million, Carter said. Out of 8 billion. Lisa closed her eyes for a moment. And the rest? Carter had no answer. They both knew. The rest would face the storm. The ships are good, Lisa said after a while. The shields might work. We've picked good planets to settle on. If anyone can survive this, it's us. Because we're cowards? Carter asked with a small, sad smile. Because we act, Lisa corrected him. Even when it seems hopeless. Even when no one else will. On the launch pad, final checks were being made on the first wave of ships. Diane walked through the horizon one last time, making sure everything was ready. The ship was packed. Every space was filled with supplies or people. The massive engines hummed as they warmed up. Captain, we have a situation, Kevin called over the radio. There's a ship approaching from Centauri space. They're asking for permission to dock. Centauri? They're not human, Diane said. Who is it? They say they're refugees. They saw our warnings and believed them. There are about 300 on board. Diane barely had to think. Let them dock, make room. Where? Kevin asked. We're already at full capacity. My private quarters can fit 20. Officers will double up. We'll make it work, Diane ordered. We don't leave people behind, no matter what species they are. As the Centauri ship docked, Diane went to meet them. They were tall beings with pale skin and large eyes. They looked scared. We saw your data, their leader said. His translator. Fox made his words sound flat. Our government said not to worry, but your math was right. We left everything behind. You made the right choice, Diane told him. Welcome aboard. Across the solar system, similar scenes played out. More alien ships arrived. Not many, but some. Small groups who had seen the human warnings and decided to trust them. They came from nearby systems, the ones close enough to reach Earth before the storm hit. In the final hours before launch, Greg Jones made one last call to the Galactic Council. This time, it wasn't just Zortek. All the main council members were there. We are leaving now, Greg told them. This is your final chance. Send your people. We have room on some ships. Run if you must, Tolvan said, his ancient face showing only scorn. When this storm of yours fails to appear, do not expect to rejoin the council. Greg looked at each face on the screen. I hope you're right, he said. I hope we're wrong. But if we're not, remember that we tried to warn you. He ended the call and joined the last shuttle to the horizon. As the first wave of ships lifted off from Earth, their engines lighting up the night sky, Diane stood on the bridge of the horizon. Through the windows, she could see the blue sphere of Earth growing smaller, course set for the safe worlds, Kevin reported. All systems running at full power. Diane nodded. Take us out, she ordered, and hope these shields work when the storm comes. Behind them, millions of humans, and a few brave aliens who had trusted them, left their homes behind. Ahead was only the dark of space and the hope of survival. And somewhere, rushing toward the worlds they had left behind, the cosmic storm grew stronger. The storm hit hard and fast. Worlds that had stood for thousands of years were gone in minutes. The proud home planet of the Zelaxians, with its tall silver towers and crystal domes, was the first major world to fall. Only a few Zelaxians survived. Those who had listened to the human warnings and left in whatever ships they could find. The Peloran worlds were next. Their crystal bodies offered no protection against the strange energy that swept through their star systems. Only a handful of Peloran ships escaped. They were the ones closest to human space, the ones who had received direct warnings from Earth ships. From the bridge of the UES Horizon, now safely beyond the storm's reach, Captain Diane Miller watched the sensor screens with a heavy heart. Billions of lives lost, whole civilizations gone, all because of pride and stubbornness. "We're getting a message," Kevin Ward said from his station. "It's Ambassador Tolvan's personal ship." The old alien's face appeared on the screen. His usual, proud look was gone. Now he just looked tired and sad. "Captain Miller," he said, his voice quiet. We owe your people an apology." "How many got out?" Diane asked. "This wasn't the time for 'I told you so.'" "Barely 3,000, Tolvan admitted. "We were lucky that your Commander Carter sent a ship directly to our colony with warnings, even after how we treated you." Diane nodded. Carter had broken orders from Earth Command when he sent warning ships to as many worlds as he could, even to those who had laughed at humans the most. "We've prepared places for your people to dock," Diane said. "We'll meet you at these coordinates." She sent the location with a button press. After Tolvan's face disappeared from the screen, Kevin turned to her. "Do we have enough food and water for them?" "We'll make it work," Diane said firmly. "That's what humans do." In the big common area of the ship, hundreds of humans worked with the aliens who had already joined them, Centaurians, Rigelians, and others from worlds close enough to Earth to have gotten warnings. Sandra Rogers moved among them, helping where she could. She was a language expert who had once studied at the Galactic School on the Zelaxian homeworld. Now she was helping a group of Centaurian children learn how to use the food machines when she noticed a Zelaxian. Watching from across the room, it was Ambassador Zortek himself. Sandra walked over and offered him a cup of water. "I didn't know you had left," she said. Zortek looked different now. His usual proud stance was gone. "Commander Carter came to my home in person," he said. "He showed me secret human data. I believed enough to take my family, but not enough to fight the Council's decision." He looked away. "My homeworld is gone. Many of my people died thinking there was no danger." "Feeling bad won't help those still alive," Sandra said. "We need everyone's mind focused on what comes next." In a makeshift command room several floors below, Science Officer Paul Davis was looking at the latest data on the storm's path. "It's not stopping," he told the group of human and alien scientists gathered around him. "At its current speed, it will destroy about 60% of the known galaxy before it runs out of energy." A Rigelian scientist raised one of its tentacles. "Our math suggests the effect might be reversible. If we can understand the quantum mechanics involved, we don't have time for theories," cut in Nancy Rivera, Earth's top leader. "We need real solutions for the refugees and defense plans in case this thing changes direction again." As they talked, a message came in from one of the scout ships watching the edge of the storm. It had visual records of the destruction and a strange discovery. Within the storm, patterns were forming. The destruction wasn't random, it almost looked planned. "It's not just a storm," Paul whispered, staring at the data. "It's a transformation, maybe even a birth." On the observation deck of the Horizon, Lisa Powell stood alone, watching the stars. The ship was now far from Earth, moving toward the safe worlds where they hoped to start over. Alan Carter, now Admiral of Earth's remaining fleet, found her there. "You should rest," he said. "You've been awake for days." Lisa didn't look away from the stars. "I keep thinking about the people we left behind. 8 billion on Earth alone. Trillions across the galaxy." "We saved who we could," Carter said. "That's all anyone can do. The aliens are calling us heroes now," Lisa said with a bitter laugh. "The same ones who called us cowards 3 months ago." Carter stood beside her. People change when they face death, even alien people. Not all of them, Lisa said. Some of them believed us from the start. Some helped us warn others. The good ones, Carter agreed. They stood in silence for a moment. Paul Davis thinks the storm isn't just destroying things, Lisa said at last. He thinks it's creating something new, something we can't understand yet. Carter frowned. Is that good news or bad? I don't know, Lisa admitted. But it might mean this isn't the end, just a change. 6 weeks after the escape, the human fleet and the alien ships that had joined them reached the first of the safe worlds. It was a green-blue planet with 3 small moons, far from the path of the storm. As the ships began to land, people looked out at their new home with mixed feelings: joy at finding safety, sadness for what was lost, hope for a new start. In a meeting room on the horizon, the leaders of the various groups came together. Humans sat side by side with aliens from a dozen worlds. We need to start building right away, Nancy Rivera said. Shelters first, then farms, then permanent homes. Winter will come to this region in about 6 months. Tolvan, speaking for the surviving council members, nodded. My people have experience with rapid construction. We will help. The Centaurians. No farming, their leader offered. We can help plan the first crops. One by one, each group offered what skills they had. It was a new kind of cooperation. Not the formal, distant way the Galactic Council had worked, but something more direct and honest. As the meeting ended, Ambassador Zortek approached Carter. There is something I must say, he began. When you came to my home to warn me, I saw the fear in your eyes. I thought it was weakness. Carter waited, saying nothing. Now I understand, Zortek continued. That fear drove you to act when we did nothing. It saved you, and it saved those of us who finally listened. He lowered his 3 eyes in a gesture of respect. Perhaps fear, properly used, is a kind of wisdom. Carter thought about all the human history that had led to this moment, all the disasters that had taught humans to prepare, to act, to work together when threats arose. It's not about fear, he told Zortek. It's about responsibility. Humans learned long ago that waiting until you're absolutely sure often means waiting until it's too late. We don't prepare for disasters because we're afraid. We do it because we value life too much to gamble with it. That night, as the new settlers began to build their first shelters on the alien world, Paul Davis made a surprising discovery. The patterns within the storm were growing more complex. They were beginning to form structures that the sensors could barely detect. It's like watching a butterfly emerge from a cocoon, he told Lisa. But on a galactic scale, something is being born out of the destruction. Can we talk to it? Lisa asked. Paul looked up from his screens. Maybe, if we can find the right way to reach it. Across the settlement, humans and aliens worked side by side, building a new home among the stars. And beyond them, at the edge of known space, the cosmic storm continued its path of destruction, or perhaps of creation. 6 months passed. On the planet they named Novus, the survivors built a new home. Simple wooden and metal buildings now dotted the green valleys. Fields of earth crops grew alongside alien plants. Children of different species played together in the new settlement. In what had once been the Horizon's cargo bay, now converted into a meeting hall, Lisa Powell stood before a mixed group of humans and aliens. Behind her, a large screen showed strange, swirling patterns of light and energy. We've confirmed our theory, she announced. The room went quiet. The cosmic storm isn't a natural disaster or a weapon. It's a kind of birth. Something new is forming in the fabric of space itself. Whispers spread through the crowd. Ambassador Tolvan, now speaking for the surviving aliens from the council, leaned forward on his walking stick. Explain in words we can all understand, Dr. Powell. Lisa pointed to the screen. Something is being born out of space and time, a new form of life. The places the storm touched aren't destroyed. They're changed into something our tools can barely see. Admiral Alan Carter stepped up beside her. The big question is, can we talk to it? Is it aware? And most important, will it stop? We think it is aware, Paul Davis said, joining Lisa at the front. And we've built a device that might let us communicate. A quantum signal that could cross the barrier between our reality and whatever this new entity exists in. Sandra Rogers added, we've put language patterns from all our different species into the signal. If this thing can sense us at all, this gives us the best chance of making contact. Secretary General Nancy Rivera looked around the room. This plan has risks. If we draw its attention to where we are, we face the end either way, Carter said firmly. But humans have never chosen to hide when we could act. That's our strength, the thing they called cowardice. They took a vote, not with complex rules or long debates like the old council, but by simple show of hands, the way humans had made group decisions since ancient times. 3 days later, the horizon approached the edge of the storm. The ship had been changed, fitted with the special communication device the scientists had built. On the bridge, Diane Miller sat in the captain's chair. All crew to emergency stations. Get ready to activate the quantum signal on my mark, Kevin. Ward watched the ship's systems. Shields at full power, signal device ready. Diane took a deep breath. Remind me why we volunteered for this mission? Kevin gave a small smile. Because we're the cowardly humans who run toward danger instead of away from it. Right, Diane said. Activate the signal. The ship shook as waves of quantum energy pulsed outward, creating patterns of math and language. A greeting, a request, and a sign of life directed toward the vast something forming within the transformed space. For a long time, nothing happened. Then the sensors began to show changes in the storm's edge. The boundary rippled, then steadied, and then, incredibly, began to pull back. It's responding, Paul shouted from the science station. The pattern is changing. I think, it's talking back. The ship's computers began receiving huge amounts of data, information coming in faster than they could process. Images, ideas, feelings that had no names in any human or alien language. It's not hostile, Lisa whispered, looking at the first translations. It didn't know we were here. It's curious about us. Across the view screen, the edge of the storm continued to pull back, leaving behind space that slowly returned to normal. 3 weeks later, all the survivors gathered in the main square of their new settlement to hear the news. Admiral Carter stood before them, along with the scientists who had studied the communication. The being we met is a cosmic intelligence coming into our universe from another dimension, Carter explained. Our signal was the first sign it received, that thinking life existed in the spaces it was changing. It has agreed to change its emergence pattern to preserve existing life forms. Ambassador Zortek stepped forward. We owe our continued existence to human action, to their caution, which we mistook for fear. Carter shook his head. Not caution, responsibility. Humans learned long ago that waiting for complete certainty often means waiting until it's too late. We prepare for disasters not because we fear them, but because we value life too much to take unnecessary risks. Secretary General Rivera joined him. The entity has shared knowledge that will change how we understand the universe. It offers a partnership, a chance to grow together instead of separately. But this chance exists only because someone was willing to act when action seemed pointless. Tolvan, who had once mocked human fearfulness, bowed his head slightly. Perhaps the new council, when we build it, should adopt what we now see as the human virtue of taking action before it's too late. As the crowd broke up, Diane found herself standing with Lisa and Paul at the edge of the square, looking up at the stars of their new home. Do you think they really understand? Lisa asked. Or will they forget this lesson when the danger is past? Diane smiled. Some will forget. Some always do. But enough will remember. She pointed to where human children played with the young of a dozen alien species. And we'll keep reminding them that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to act despite it. Only the cowardly humans, Paul quoted with a small grin. Exactly, Diane said. Only the cowardly humans, who saved the galaxy, because they dared to act when action seemed useless. Not a bad legacy as legacies go. Above them, the night sky sparkled with stars, and somewhere beyond them, a new intelligence watched and learned from the small, brave species that had reached out across the emptiness to say, "We are here. We matter, and we will not disappear quietly into the night." In the months that followed, the settlement on Novus grew. New buildings rose. More farms spread across the valleys. Schools opened where human and alien children learned together. And something else happened too, something no one had expected. As they built their new world, the different species began to change how they worked together. The rigid rules and ranks of the old Galactic Council were gone. In their place was something more like how humans had always worked when things got tough, direct, practical, and focused on solving problems. "It's strange," Greg Jones said one day, as he and Carter watched a mixed team raise the frame of a new building. "A year ago, these species barely spoke to each other. Now look at them," Carter nodded. "Crisis shows who people really are. It strips away the pretense." "Is that another human lesson?" Greg asked with a smile. "One of our oldest," Carter replied. "We've had a lot of practice with crisis." As the sun set over Novus, casting long shadows, across the settlement a small ship landed on the outskirts. It carried the first of what would be many, survivors from more distant worlds who had received the human warnings and escaped, but had taken longer to find their way to the new home. Diane and Kevin went to meet them. As the ship's door opened, a group of tired but hopeful travelers emerged, a mix of species, some familiar, some new to human eyes. "Welcome to Novus," Diane said, stepping forward with open hands in the universal gesture of peace. "You're safe, now." One of the newcomers, a tall being with scaled skin, spoke through a translator. "We heard there was a place where the cowardly humans had made a stand against the storm. We came to find it." Diane smiled at the old insult, now spoken like a term of respect. "You found it. Welcome home." That night, as the stars came out over the new world, humans and aliens alike looked up at the vast darkness between the points of light, a darkness that now held not just mystery but connection. A connection forged because one species had refused to wait for disaster to strike, had chosen to act when others would not. Only the cowardly humans. The end.